Video 5. This is my problem with anarcho-capitalism. I don't think anarcho-capitalism would be like Somalia. I think it would be more like Russia or Pinochet's Chile. Anarcho-capitalism, even though it's called anarchy, would not be chaos. And it would not be no government. There'd still be government in anarcho-capitalism. There just might not be a state. But in anarcho-capitalism, what I'm pretty sure what would happen would be an oligarchy would form. And these oligarchs and these super rich people would have private armies and private police forces controlling society, and like it would turn into a dystopia really quickly with these rich people ruling unchecked. Really, the only thing that checked them would be if the people stopped buying their products in mass, but that's not going to do much. Or if other oligarchs try to stop them, which if they create their oligarchy culture, that's not really going to happen unless they go really crazy. So, for instance, in our current society, we can have protests on sidewalks and streets. I mean, sometimes you might have to call the police and say, we're going to be here this time, but they're not going to stop you from protesting. They're just going to make sure that you don't block traffic or something. But I worry that in anarcho-capitalism, all sidewalks and streets would be controlled by the oligarchy. And what I mean by oligarchy is rich people who rule society. So yeah, sidewalks would be ruled by oligarchy, and you'd have to get permission from the oligarch who happens to own that sidewalk. And if you don't get permission from a member of the oligarchy, the rich, super rich class, you try to do a protest, some Blackwater type, mercenary types, the private police force or private military of the particular oligarch who dominates the area will be sent in to crush your little protest. So, yeah, in the anarcho-capitalism, that's the irony with anarchies. I've never come across an anarchist theory that actually presented the idea of no government. They always present some kind of government, to the point to where almost every anarchist theory I've ever seen is way more totalitarian than classical liberalism, which is just sort of a mixed economy with a democratic republic. So traditional anarchy, anarcho-communism, I have no doubt that it would just turn into Soviet type. It would turn into communism really quickly with a dictator and everything. And anarcho-capitalism, which presents itself as like a flea market, it's like a petty bourgeois fantasy that would quickly be taken over by the bourgeois and turn into a dystopia. So both anarcho-communism and anarcho-capitalism would turn into like the greatest dystopias you could imagine, given enough time. Like, they might start off good, but I'm still certain that one would turn into a dictatorship and one would turn into an oligarchy within like a couple decades. So, yes, I don't believe that either one would just be chaos. I think people who think that just don't know these anarchist theories very well. I actually think that both forms of anarchy, especially anarcho-capitalism, would quickly turn into a very totalitarian society with like absolute control from the top. Like, I'm still not exactly sure how you could avoid this. I mean, democratic socialism seems the way to achieve the most amount of liberty, as you don't have some party trying to push its ideology on people like in some forms of communism, almost all forms of communism really. Nor do you have an unchecked oligarchy who literally own like private mercenaries. So these mercenary groups would have like several billion-dollar budgets to help the oligarchy stay in power. And who's to say that the oligarchy in anarcho-capitalism wouldn't elect one of their own to be the leader of the oligarchy? And there you go, you have the state again. Except this time, your state looks like modern-day Russia or Chile under Pinochet or some other kind of far-right dictatorship. So yeah, anarcho-capitalism would turn into right-wing dictatorship after a while. Anarcho-communism would turn into a left-wing dictatorship after a while. So neither one of them would turn into chaos. Both of them would turn into some kind of dictatorship of some sort. Whether it be a Chilean or a Leninist type dictatorship. That's all. Bye.